Welcome to Let's Start a Business. I wanted to first go over what we do at the SBDC. We give you no-cost confidential consulting. We help with business plans, whether you're a startup or whether you're in business. And we also offer assistance with all your financial marketing and contracting needs. And as we're doing today, we do training. So the first question you should ask yourself is owning your own business the right choice for you? Now I'm going to go over some attributes that are required that you should have in order to start your own business. And these are very important attributes to have. And if you don't have these, then you should really reconsider whether you should start your business or not. But you need to be a self-starter. You need to be able to make your own decisions. Starting a business is high risk. You need to plan and organize. Energy and stamina is important. Starting a business is a 24/7 job. It's not like any normal job you would have. And then you're going to need support from family and friends as well. So you really should start with market research. Find out who's going to buy your product. Can you describe a typical customer? That's key. Do you have local competition? Are there competitors other places outside the local market? Is there a demand for your products or services? And is that trend in demand going up, going down, or staying flat? So in developing a marketing plan, these are some of the key things you need to do. What is the products you are selling? Describe it. What is your pricing strategy? This is key. You should never be the low cost producer. And overall, what is your selling strategy? Are you going to use storefront, online? Who are going to be your suppliers? And you should identify all your key suppliers. And then probably the most important one is, how will the customers find you? You may have a website, but how are they going to know to go to that website? And then the other thing is, how are you going to fund your company? Is it going to be equity, debt, or credit? Equity is what your personal savings, money you get from family and friends. Large companies will get outside investors that will take a piece of the company in order to invest. Debt is borrowed money. So borrowed money means you have to pay it back. Equity means you don't have to pay it back. So if you need to borrow money, you should come and talk to us, and we can help you see what's available out there. And then the other thing that's really key is your credit. Your credit needs to be at a decent number. So there's 5 C's of business credit. Capital equity, how much do you have invested? You should always have what banks call skin in the game. So you need to put some of your own money into the business. And then your capacity to repay the debt. Do you have monthly income or some way to repay the debt? Do you have collateral? For property, if you're buying a piece of property, then that property could be your collateral, but there's other types of collateral as well. And then sometimes there's conditions that in terms that need to be placed on loan to assure repayment. And the bottom line is the bankers or whoever is giving you the money needs to be confident that you're going to repay them the money. Then the next thing you need to do is you need to choose a business structure. We do not recommend sole proprietor. We recommend either an LLC or an LLP, limited liability company. If you're going to take in outside investors, you may want to become an S Corp or a C Corp. And in those cases, you would need an attorney to assist. If you're doing an LLC, we can help you set up your LLC. Another key thing is to choose your business name. Can you have a business name that identifies your brand? Is the name available? You go to the Secretary of State website to see if the name is available. You should also check for trademarks for your name. And how does the name work on the web? If somebody does a search on it, is it going to come up? Is a URL for your website available? And then again, register your business name with the Secretary of State. More startup tasks, go to this website, and I'll show it to you in just a minute, this www.scbos.sc.gov. It's the 9 steps to starting a business. So you need to apply for, get your LLC, get your EIN, which is your tax ID. Then you can get your business checking account. And it's always good, I think, to see if you can get a business credit card, because that'll also help you keep track of expenses. Just make sure you pay it off each month. There's other, depending on your business, there's other things that you're going to need to do. You're going to need to get approval for local planning and zoning. You may need a certificate of occupancy. Many counties require business licenses, and so do cities. If you're selling retail, then you'll need a sales tax license. If you're handling any type of food products, you'll need to go to DHEC. And then there's professional licenses required for certain businesses. So the game plan is the business plan. You must have a plan, and you should right now start organizing your thoughts. I always recommend, if you have an idea, write it down. We can always organize it into a business plan later. But if you come up with a good idea, go ahead and put it in your, put it on a notepad or put it in your computer. Collect any articles associated with your business that you think are appropriate. Now, many startup businesses will be, you're the only person in the business, so the organization chart is you. You make all the decisions, as well as clean the bathrooms. You should also recognize all of your gaps in your knowledge, and outsourcing is a prominent way to fulfill those gaps. And then again, depending on your business, you may want to set up some strategic alliances with downtown organizations or with the chamber. And a good question to always ask yourself when starting a business is, should I have an attorney? So if you're unsure whether you need an attorney or not, then it's always good to contact one. You absolutely should have one for doing either a Chapter S or a Chapter C to set up subscription agreements. Attorneys are good for reviewing contracts and leases, and also purchasing real estate. Now let me switch to this SCBOS website. So here's the SCBOS website, and it's good for reviewing what you need to do to start a business. and it's the light bulb on the left side. And it's a 9-step guide to starting your business. We talked a little bit about research and planning, registering with the Secretary of State, getting your EIN from the irs.gov, and make sure it's irs.gov, because a lot of people will charge you something for, this is free if you go to irs.gov, but if you go to an irs.com website, they'll charge you for this. We talked a little bit about your location. Your location is key because that'll determine whether you need any special business license or zoning permit. If you're going to hire employees, then this is another key thing, because there's a lot of extra paperwork if you end up hiring people. If you're going to sell retail, then you will need a retail sales tax license. And I'll just click on this real quick. And you go to this website, My Doorway, to set up to get your retail license. Again, if you're doing a Chapter S or a Chapter C, or if you need subscription agreements, you absolutely must get an attorney. And if you need to borrow money, here's some kind of rules of thumbs. You're going to need to have 15 to 25% of your own money into the business. And it can be collateral, or you can get a guarantor, or you can get friends and family. They'll need a personal financial statement and 2 or 3 years of your personal tax returns. And then you need to put together a business plan with at least 3 years of projected financial data. And that's an area where we can help you. Some finance fundamentals. You need to be responsible for keeping and reviewing your books. You just can't turn that over to an accountant. Again, make sure you understand your business and don't just turn it over to an accountant or to a CPA. A lot of people use, starting out a business, just use Excel spreadsheets. It's a simple way to do it, and we can help you with that. But a lot of businesses, as they grow, want to get into something a little more sophisticated, such as QuickBooks. And there's several versions of QuickBooks. One's a fairly inexpensive version, and the others are about $30 a month. And if you do decide to get employees, there are additional requirements. You need to make sure that they're U.S., not necessarily citizens, but they are allowed to do business in the United States. So you need to follow some extra paperwork. If you do retail sales, part of that My Doorway, it also tells you how to do sales tax remitting, and you have to do that on a periodic basis, usually monthly. And businesses choose lots of different things for e-commerce. PayPal is a common one. And then you should hire a CPA at some point just to review what you've done. Okay, I guess that's it. Any questions?
And if you would like to type your questions in the chat box, or unmute your microphone and ask questions, that would be great. Somebody asked for us to put the SC Business One Stop link in the chat box, and Davina Lloyd did that as well as I did that. So I hope that that's helpful. Please, if you've not done so, type your full name into the chat box so we can confirm your attendance. And those that we have confirmed their attendance, excuse me, we will be sending a post-event survey, and those that respond to the post-event survey will receive the presentation slides as well as a link to the video. Now, it may take 7 to 10 days for us to post the video, but you will be receiving both at the same time. Okay, we have a couple of questions, Bob. From Ken, years ago, I had an LLC for a business. Could I use that same LLC, or would I need to apply for another LLC since several years have passed?
Well, is that LLC still current? Are you in good standing? I guess that's the first thing to check. And you can go to the Secretary of State office, pull up use your business name to pull it up online, and it'll tell you if it's in good standing or not. If it's not in good standing, then you probably need to redo it.
And I am going to put the South Carolina Secretary of State link in the chat box for everybody if you would like that. So allow me to do that real quick. And I'm sending that out. So let's see. Is there someone to help you file for your business name after you did the search? So we can, as business consultants, walk you through the process of filing for your LLC. You can do all of that online yourself. We can, of course, assist you with that. Be prepared with a debit or credit card because there is a fee for that. Would that be correct in saying so, Bob?
Yes, that's correct. And then there's one other thing too, is they ask for an agent, and they always ask for other things. Always just put your own name in. You do not need an agent to file an LLC. You can be the agent, because an agent will just charge you money.
Exactly. Now, here's another question. Can you go into a little more detail of the advantages and disadvantages between an LLC versus S Corp or C Corp?
Yeah, the S Corp and the C Corp require you to have a board of directors, and they require a lot more paperwork. They also require what's called K1s on taxes. So you need to have your CPA compute K1s and send them out to everyone that's an investor in the company. A C Corp doesn't have K1s. So large investors like C Corps, especially if you're getting like millions of dollars of investment, then they definitely don't want to be filing a K1 at the end of the year. So when you talk to us, we can help you decide whether one makes more sense than the other.
All righty, thank you. So here's another. My sister and I have a small craft business and we would like to start craft shows only. Income will probably be under $5,000 per year. Do we need an LLP?
No, not necessarily. You can just get by with an LLC. You just be a 2-member LLC.
And the LLC, again, keeping separate banking records for business versus personal, the LLC, and Bob, correct me if I'm wrong, really protects if there is any challenge with the products or items that you sell. If there's any injury or harm to the consumer, then with an LLC, they're not going to come after you personally and your personal assets. Is that correct?
For the most part, that's correct. You should still have liability insurance through the LLC, just product liability insurance, just as a further protection. But if you don't have an LLC, you're not protected at all.
So if I want an LLC and I search my business name on the state site and the Gov site, and it's free to use. So you can go ahead on the Secretary of State site. There's a header that says online filings, and you can just go to business entities, file and search, and you can file your LLC right there. So
it takes about 15 minutes to go through that process.
So Ken, you said that previously that you had an LLC some time ago, and that was in Pennsylvania. You would have to recreate an LLC in South Carolina. Would that be correct, Bob?
Yes, that's correct. If the LLC is not in this state previously, you need to refile in South Carolina. Yes.
So Tasha B, for business transactions expenses, can we use our personal debit credit to make purchases until we receive our business debit credit card? Will this be okay when filing annual taxes? I would say no. Bob, what is your take on that?
Well, a lot of people do that. So what someone has to do is they have to have really good records, and then they have to say that they loan the company on startup this amount of money that they invested previous to the startup, and treat it as a loan to the company, and then you can deduct it. Was that too confusing?
So you said treat it as a loan to the company. The only reason why I'd asked that question is because the bank, it takes up the 10 to 15 days for them to send the debit card and credit card. And unfortunately, the first time when I applied, it got lost in the mail. So now I'm having to wait an additional 15 days.
Yeah, just keep really good records. And then when you're ready, just write a document that says you've loaned the business this money and have a record of all that, and then you can deduct it.
Okay, thank you.
And then those funds end up being like an owner investment. So say you're having to buy equipment because you don't have your debit or credit card in yet and you pay for it personally, that becomes an owner investment or equity into the company. Would that be correct, Bob?
Yes, yeah, that's one way to look at it. It could definitely be an equity into the, or an owner investment into the company, correct?
Davina, what I would suggest, I know it's a lot of information, it got confusing on the Secretary of State site. I will look at your registration, see where you're located, and I will email you your closest SBDC office. And I would suggest that you reach out to them and they can do an online meeting and go through the steps of filing your LLC step by step. Okay, Frida, if I have a current LLC that is active that I use for healthcare, can I start a different business and use the same name and LLC I have registered to the state of South Carolina?
Yes, you can do that. You might want to set up one like a doing business as, but you can keep it all under the same LLC if you would like. It's just, I mean, you're the one that's going to have to keep the finances separately so you understand which business is doing better than the other. So it's just more paperwork on your part, but you can do that.
Okay, I'm setting up a sole proprietorship for a service business. No product, no inventory, working from my home. Minimal expenses. Do I need to register this with South Carolina? How does this alter taxes from filing as a single individual?
Sole proprietorship, you're just filing it, I think it's Schedule C, and you're just filing it on your personal income tax. So it doesn't affect your income tax either way. And if you're a one-member LLC, it kind of works the same way, that you would just be filing it as on Schedule C on your regular income tax. So you can do that if you want to. The other thing you need to be, you say it's a service business. I'm not sure what type of service business, but if there's any chance that you could get sued, then you might want to set up an LLC, because you could have errors and omissions liability, depending on the type of service you're doing.
And I believe that answers Hunt's question. Why do you not recommend a sole proprietorship?
Just to separate yourself legally from the business, because if you're sole proprietor, then anything that happens to the business is basically your responsibility personally.
And Bob, we're having a little bit of challenge with your mic, so if you don't mind getting closer to the mic might be helpful.
Sometimes my computer does that too. So.
So when transferring personal funds or receiving monetary gifts, contributions, how is it captured on your annual filing?
Repeat that question.
When transferring personal funds or receiving monetary gifts, contributions, how is it captured on your annual filing? So that would be more of a question for an accountant, would it not?
I think you should, yes, you should definitely review that with your accountant. But again, you can consider it as an owner investment.
So once my business name is registered with South Carolina, does this trigger a new status and change my tax status with the state?
There's no triggering of that.
We can't hear you, Bob.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, I'll speak up louder. I'm not sure what's going on. There's no triggering event that I'm aware of for your taxes.
You do have to get your EIN with the IRS, and you do have to contact the South Carolina Department of Revenue, do you not?
Well, you need to get your EIN for sure. South Carolina Department of Revenue, I have not come across that.
Well, that's if you're selling retail items and you have to charge sales tax.
Right. If you charge sales tax, then absolutely you need to register it through that My Doorway account or website.
So is an LLC needed in each state, country, if business is done in multiple states and countries?
No, it's only required in your home office area. So as long as your home office is in South Carolina, you can do business in other states, but you don't have to get an LLC in the other states. You may have to pay sales tax in the other states.
So do we need to file for business licenses in all cities that we work in South Carolina, as all cities charge different taxes, percentages? If you don't mind unmuting, give us a little bit of information about your type of business. Because if it's a service business, all of that is kind of questionable. So if you don't mind unmuting, we'd like to hear from you.
Mine is the craft business, and we do craft shows in several areas surrounding Greenville, Greenwood, Columbia, Pickens, Easley, and each city has its own separate sales tax. And I'd need to know if we need business licenses for each of those, and if we have to find out ourselves what the sales tax is per city.
So that is a great question. So I'm based here in Charleston, and I know that for those people attending craft shows, whoever the sponsors of those craft shows or farmers markets or craft markets, here in the Charleston area, each one of those, promoters or managers of that market require a local business license.
Okay.
So I would first reach out to the organizers of the event and see what they require. Then if they require a business license in that municipality, go to that municipality's website, file for a business license. And of course, the payment of a business license is based on the projection of the sales you're going to have. So when you first file, you might want to lowball that.
Oh, for sure.
Bob, am I sharing incorrect information, or would that be correct?
That's correct. But sometimes these event organizers do all that, have all that information, or they do it themselves. They'll take your information and they'll pay the sales tax, and they'll just make sure that all the licenses are in place. So check with the event organizer and see what you need to do, because if you have to get a local sales or a local license, then you have to do it.
Yes, so far we've not had one that said they would pay the taxes for us. They said it was our responsibility. So we're going to have to work that into a per show basis. Like Easley charges 8%, Fountain Inn charges 7%, Greenville is 6%. So we'll just have to figure that into our spreadsheet when we pay the taxes on a quarterly basis, or however often we pay them.
If they don't do it, then yes, you will have to do that.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
So, thank you, Wynn. So Tasha had a question. What is the difference between a resale license and a retail license? Do I need both?
It's basically the same thing. It's just, if you're reselling a product, if you're going to resell a product, then if you can buy it wholesale, then you don't pay sales tax when you get it. You only need to pay sales tax once. So a retail license will work for both resale and retail. But just make sure if you're doing a resale that you shouldn't have to pay taxes on if you're going to resell it. Sales tax, I mean.
I think that might have been our last question. Does anyone else have any questions, or can we assist in any other way?
I do. Am I heard loud and clear?
Yes.
Hello, my name is Ronald Rogers, and I'm curious about any accounting firms specifically that you all can recommend doing business with in the early stages of your business. Let's say SBDC works with us as well in the early stages. Do you have a recommendation of who to go to in the Greenville area?
I would suggest that you reach out to the business consultants in the Greenville area. Bob is located in Columbia. I'm located in Charleston.
Yeah.
I'm making a note next to your name right now, Ronald, and I will email you a list of contacts for that area that you can certainly ask.
Okay, heard. Thank you so much.
So I'll email the Greenville folks to you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Would anybody else like contact information for their local SBDC office? Okay, Davina, you're in Myrtle Beach. So that would be Janet, and I can send you email Myrtle Beach contact. All right. And I will tell you, Janet's awesome. She just won the State Star last year. So okay, now hold on. I'm trying to make notes. So Frida, you're in Fort Mill. So bear with me, everyone, while I find you on my list. So Fort Mill. And where are you located again, please, sir?
Greenville, South Carolina.
Okay.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Ken?
I'm in Columbia.
Okay, Ken, you can reach out to Bob. His information is on the screen.
Great, thank you.
Another Greenville. Claudia Brooks, where would you be located? Tyler, you're in Spartanburg. All right. That's Miss Katrina in Spartanburg. Clint, you're in Charleston. So when you got the email from me providing you with your information for the the Zoom event, that has my phone number and my email. Reach out to me and I will gladly send you the list of accounting CPAs and accountants that we recommend. So Claudia Brooks is going to reach out to Bob. Anyone that's located in the Charleston County, Berkeley, Dorchester, if you'll reach out to me, and again, my signature was on the Zoom link, and I'll send you all of the information about the accountants that we have on our resource list. Melanie, Columbia, Lexington, you would reach out to Bob, his information's on the screen. Frida, are there any government programs offering grants? No. We get that question all of the time. The only grants that we are aware of support research and development, predominantly medical devices and intellectual properties, and agriculture. So there are local grants. Most of the time, those are competition grants, like writing a business plan or a pitch deck. And sometimes those are sponsored by local chambers, local SCORE chapters. Sometimes the local Women's Business Center chapters have these competition grants, but there is no grant to fund a startup small business. Ken, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a question. I have some equipment that I purchased that was several $1,000s, but I use for personal. But for this business, I would actually be using that equipment as well. And so I was just wondering, would I somehow be able to write any of that off or not? And I know that might be.
Yeah, this is Bob. What I've had accountants tell me that you can do on that is you determine what the current fair market value of that equipment is, and you basically sell it to the company.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Or also, Bob, let me ask you a question. If you are looking to obtain some type of financing or funding for the business, could that equipment be used as collateral?
That's the other thing. It could be used for collateral as well. Sure.
Great. Thank you.
Does that help, Ken?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? So if you'd like to unmute, go ahead and ask a question or type it in the chat box. You're most welcome, Claudia. I hope this information today was helpful. Again, I'll be sending out a post-event survey later this afternoon. To those of you that confirmed your attendance by typing your name into the chat box. Those that respond to the post-event survey will receive the presentation slides and also the recording of this event. Please be patient with us because there's going to be a little lapse in there of when we were having computer issues, but that will be posted on YouTube and the link will be sent out in approximately 7 to 10 days. So thank you everyone for joining. If there's any last questions or anything else, please speak now or forever hold your peace. Well, one last thing, and I am going to try and share my screen. This is our state website. And at the top where it says training events, if you click onto that, these are all of the upcoming training events. Many of these are in person. Many of these are online. Some of these have a fee, but many of them are at no cost. So please look through those. If there's something you're interested in, please register. But the really cool thing is at the bottom of the page, these are previous training events that have been recorded. So there's a wonderful library of all of these events that you can watch at your leisure. So there's things about writing a business plan. There's things about cash flow and credit, government contracting. There's all sorts of information in here. And this is a wonderful resource for any of you that even if you just want to brush up on some things. So I wanted to share that with you because it's just a wonderful place to go for additional information. So again, if there's any questions, please let me know. And if not, we will end the presentation.
I have one last question as Ronald Rogers.
Yes,
my
sir.
question is for everyone, or for you all, to everyone. What questions do you recommend that we be asking when we enter into new spaces or unfamiliar spaces?
Well, that really kind of depends on the industry.
Heard.
So what you're asking is you want to know what you don't know? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. What I do is I'll be eventually dealing with IPs, and I manufacture a product. So there's so many questions in regards to this industry that I don't know about manufacturing and patent protection and trademark rights and all these things. So every time I go into a room, it's several things I don't know.
So, excuse me, Bob. I'm going to go ahead and Ronald, we have an IP specialist.
Oh, beautiful.
And he's based out of Charleston. However, he lives in Greer.
Hey! Amazing.
So I'm going to hook you up with him. The gentleman's name is Kevin Weir. And I want you to know he has a lot of energy, but he is fabulous. He has contacts for patent attorneys. He knows IP in and out. So I'm going to hook you up with him.
Thank you.
Instead of sending you to Greenville, I'm going to go ahead and hook you up with Kevin Weir.
Thank you.
And if you have any general questions, then if he can't answer those, reach out to me and I'll do my best.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. I will send you, Khalid, I will also send you Kevin's contact information. All righty. Who is the contact person for Spartanburg? That young lady's name is Katrina Meeks. And I'm going to share my screen again. Okay, if everyone can see my screen, at the top where you see locations, here in Spartanburg, you would click on that map. And it will take you to the person in Spartanburg. So you can do that with any of the pins on the map, and you can find out who you need to contact. I hope that's helpful. So last call. So Ken, Bob, do you work at USC? Yes, he does. So do I. All of us that are
I do as well.
all of us that are in what we refer to as the USC region, we are hosted by the University of South Carolina. So the USC region is comprised of an office in Hilton Head, an office in Beaufort, an office in Charleston, an office in Sumter, an office in Aiken, an office in Columbia, and then we have an agreement with Newberry College, and we have an office in Newberry. So other areas are hosted by other colleges. And so there is what we refer to as the Clemson region. There is the Winthrop region and the USC State region. So that's kind of how the South Carolina Small Business Development Center is arranged, is with our host universities. So that was a great question. Thank you, Ken. And thank you, Tyler. Katrina Meeks is amazing to work with. She is a sharp lady, particularly if you're having any type of HR issues with your business. So it is now 12:01, and if everybody is good, we'll go ahead and end the event. Bob, did you have anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think that was it. Thanks everyone for attending. And if you have any questions, just send me an email.
Excellent. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to you joining us again on another event. And good luck with your businesses. And please reach out to us if we can help in any way. Thank you.